What if I told you Washington State just cut millions of funding from Planned Parenthood and then turned around and sued the Trump administration for doing the exact same thing? This is not just hypocrisy. This is political theater being paid for with taxpayer dollars. And it gets worse. In this video, I'm going to break down the lawsuit, the budget cuts, and the truth your leaders are hoping you won't notice. Hey everyone, I'm Julie Barrett with Conservative Ladies of America, and today we're digging into a political theater situation happening in Washington State. We're calling out one of the most shameful examples of political hypocrisy. Governor Bob Ferguson and Attorney General Nick Brown of Washington State just announced that they are suing the Trump administration over a provision in the big, beautiful bill that blocks Medicaid reimbursements to Planned Parenthood. They're calling it a threat to women's health and access to care.
So in Washington State, Planned Parenthood receives at least $22 million a year in Medicaid funding, at least $11 million of that from the federal government. Medicaid is the primary payer for Planned Parenthood. Many of the patients who visit Planned Parenthood are on Medicaid, making Planned Parenthood one of Washington's preeminent Medicaid providers. So that funding has been cut immediately. There is a lawsuit brought by Planned Parenthood. They've had a successful, as I understand that litigation, they were successful in getting a TRO, a temporary restraining order. That litigation will be ongoing. But that important funding, that critical funding, is certainly at risk. And so as governor, one thing I have spoken to Planned Parenthood leadership about, with Jennifer about, is that if they are unsuccessful in that litigation, Washington State will step up to backfill those dollars. That is critically important for us to do right now. I guess I'll just say is, I've been in politics 20 years, right? Feel like I've seen a lot in 20 years. I mean, this is about as bad as it gets from a policy standpoint, from a budget standpoint. It is sometimes difficult to find the words. It really is, right? It really is sometimes difficult to find the words to communicate just how cruel and wrong something is. But this bill, my God, the impacts will be affecting Washingtonians for years.
But here's the part they're hoping you're going to miss. Washington State Democrats slashed $8.5 million in this year's budget from Planned Parenthood, and this was signed by Governor Bob Ferguson back in May. So the same people crying hysterically about the federal government cutting funds to Planned Parenthood are the same ones that just cut $8.5 billion about 2 months ago. That's right, the biggest cut to Planned Parenthood in Washington State history. Let's start with the lawsuit. Washington State joined 23 other states and the District of Columbia to sue the Trump administration over the cuts to Planned Parenthood funding in the One Big Beautiful Bill. That provision says that states can't use Medicaid funds to reimburse Planned Parenthood because they provide abortions. Attorney General Nick Brown says that this is an attack on cancer screenings, STD treatments, and birth control, claiming that this federal rule will lead to more unscreened cancers, more untreated diseases, and more unintended pregnancies. And of course, Governor Bob Ferguson couldn't wait to jump on social media with his usual grandstanding, vowing to protect Planned Parenthood funding at all costs. So let me get this straight. The state cuts funding to Planned Parenthood, and then the state turns around and sues the federal government because the federal government did the same thing. And then they promise to use your Washington taxpayer dollars to make up the difference that they just eliminated from their own budget. This is pure political theater, and Washington families are footing the bill for this show. Now, this lawsuit isn't just about Washington State. It's part of a national problem. The lawsuit includes Democrat-led states like California, New York, Illinois, and many others. These are the same states that have sued the Trump administration over everything from energy policy to education reforms. This isn't about governing. This is about resisting the Trump administration at all costs and on the taxpayer dime. And at a time when many of these states are facing record deficits, they're spending millions in legal fees to fight policies they politically oppose. At Conservative Ladies of America, we are unapologetically pro-life. We were ecstatic to see the funding cuts from Planned Parenthood in the big, beautiful bill. And we also thought it was good to see it in the Washington state budget as well. back in 2022, the state almost doubled their funding for Planned Parenthood after Roe was overturned. So this is bringing it back down to pre-2022 levels, which is a good thing. But the pattern that you're seeing with these blue states is that they are resisting the Trump administration at every turn. And it is costing millions and millions of dollars to the hardworking people that live in these states. I wanted to share this situation with you because it's important that people know the truth. And most people don't go deep diving on budgets and maybe don't pay attention to the little things like the fact that Washington cut $8.5 million in this year's budget, and then they turned around and sued the Trump administration. So hopefully this information is useful to you. Please do share this video. Let other people know what's going on. It's really important, if you disagree with what they're doing, especially with the political grandstanding, that you fight this with facts and show them to their face their hypocrisy. We put out a Substack post that goes into further detail on this particular issue. I will have that linked in the description of this video. If you're not already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up. That really helps the YouTube algorithm, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you're living in Washington state, especially, how do you feel about Ferguson and Brown just tossing out taxpayer dollars on lawsuit after lawsuit? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.